Welcome, fellow freaks, geeks, and nostalgic 90s nerds to my channel, Slime & Slashers, where, yeah, we talk about everything from Nickelodeon slime to horror movie slashers. But today's video is a really fun video, and it's a first-time video for me specifically. This is an original tag video. So, we're gonna go to the short intro, and when we come back, I will give you all the details of this original tag. Welcome back, guys! Okay, here it is, the reveal of what this tag is all about. This is my Goosebumps versus Are You Afraid of the Dark tag. We are going to have to make some tough choices. I have 10 questions that I'm going to ask you guys, and I tag whoever wants to participate to please make a video, and make sure you tag me in the description so that I can see your video, because I'm really excited to see everyone's answers. It should be a lot of fun. But I'm also going to answer the questions in this tag reveal as well, so that you guys get the gist of what I'm trying to do and what I'm going for with this entire tag. So essentially, we're not just talking about the TV shows, we are of course talking about books, and a lot of people don't know actually that yes, there are actually Are You Afraid of the Dark books. Not only the TV show, there are books, a series of books. And they are rare, and they're not as well known as Goosebumps, and that's for, I gotta admit, a good reason, but we'll talk about that as we go. But this is kind of like making you choose between two things that you love, because a lot of people like both franchises very much. Now, I know I might get a lot of Goosebumps heavy answers because a lot of you guys are book lovers like me, but I've also been a longtime TV lover, and I'm a lover of 90s Nickelodeon specifically, and so I have an affinity for both things. So for me, it's a very tough decision. I don't know how tough it's going to be for some of you out there, but yeah, this is like a very tough decision. And it's kind of along the same vein of this either-or type of video series that I used to do where I made myself pick between two things I love. So this is the same type of idea here, and without further ado, let's get right into the questions. The first question, name your favorite Goosebump book or books. You can name a few if you have like a top 3 or a top 5. I'm just gonna name flippin' one because it was the first one I read, Welcome to Dead House. I really think that one's a super great Goosebumps read. I will attest that I have not read every single Goosebumps book, not even the full original series, but that's just because I wasn't a big reader growing up. I've mostly gone back now as an adult and read some of these Goosebump books that I missed out on as a kid. But so far, out of the ones I've read, I really love Welcome to Dead House. I think it's kind of gruesome for a middle grade book. I think it's dark. I think it's atmospheric. I just think it's a great introduction into Goosebumps if no one has ever read a Goosebumps book before. And of course that makes sense because it was like the first book in the series, so it kind of was a great introduction for a lot of people who read that book and then dove in and couldn't wait to get into more of the books as they came out in the 90s when they were actually kids. I unfortunately did not have that experience, but even as an adult, Welcome to Dead House is pretty damn great, I gotta say. The second question is still Goosebumps themed. Name your favorite Goosebumps episode or episodes. Me, it's pretty easy. I had this on VHS, and I know I've talked about this on my channel before, but if you're new, you wouldn't know my answer, and my answer is The Haunted Mask, because I had that, it's a 2-parter episode, I believe, but I had it, they made it as like a standalone movie, and they released it on VHS, and that's what I had growing up. I watched it countless times, and honestly, it really is very effective, and some of the effects were really, really well done. Now, some Goosebumps episodes, if you go back and watch now, some of the effects are pretty terrible. I mean, you could say that about Are You Afraid of the Dark in some episodes too, but Goosebumps, I found that it could be a little bit more corny. However, when we're talking specifically about the Haunted Mask, I feel like that was top-notch Goosebumps, and really that mask that they designed really was very terrifying. They really brought that mask to life so well, and like if you look at the cover, you can't really see it because it's in shadow, but it's behind me on my book cart, like on a little stand, but if you look at the book cover and then you look at Curly Beth's mask in the movie, they did such a good job at making the mask truly scary. So, well done. That is definitely my favorite. If you can call it an episode or a special, whatever, it counts. Third question, and now we're moving into Are You Afraid of the Dark territory. So, have you read any Are You Afraid of the Dark books? If you have, what did you think? I have read only one Are You Afraid of the Dark book. However, I am going to rectify that and read a few more in April because if you guys heard, I'm going to be doing an old school April Readathon and Watchathon, which will consist of reading tons of Are You Afraid of the Dark books, tons of Goosebumps books, and also watching a ton of Are You Afraid of the Dark, watching a ton of Goosebumps, but also other random movies and shows from the 90s and 80s as well. Also reading adult horror from the 80s and 90s too. So it's not just all kid stuff. So anyway, if you want to find out more about my Readathon and Watchathon, I'm so jazzed and pumped about it. I will link the reveal video where I announce everything and give tons of recommendations below. So if you want to see all about that, just watch that video, again, linked below. And I've got optional prompts, which are revealed in that video as well. You don't have to do the prompts. You could just read old stuff and it would count, but still, a lot of people like prompts, so I have prompts. So it is what it is. So the one Are You Afraid of the Dark book I read, So here's the one I read. This is The Tale of the Zero Hero by John Peel, and I just did not like this. I just did not like this at all. I thought it didn't feel like an Are You Afraid of the Dark episode. I thought it was quite boring. It wasn't scary at all. It wasn't even creepy. It was more of like, in fact, I'll read you the description.
Simon and his family have just moved back to their old hometown, back to the old family house, and unfortunately back to the old family curse. Simon is less than thrilled, and also a little spooked. No one believes him when he says the house is haunted, but Simon has seen the ghost of his great-grandfather, a notorious coward from World War I, roaming the halls at night. Maybe it's just a dream, but then Simon dozes off and awakens in the trenches of a battlefield in France, trapped with Thomas in a hailstorm of bombs. There's no exit from this nightmare. Thomas needs Simon to save his life and reputation. Simon must change history, or he'll be lost in time, stripped of his future by a ghost from his family's past.
Now, that sounds okay by the description, but trust me, it was not. And I like middle grade, so it's not because I can't get into middle grade. Obviously, I like reading Goosebumps as an adult now. I like reading old school YA as well. But yes, I've read plenty of middle grade books, and I just did not like this one in particular. So yeah, I will say that my one impression is not good, and I hope that the other books I'm going to check out will be better. So you will hear from me about my thoughts on that, but I'm gonna give Goosebumps the edge when it comes to books, and we're gonna talk about picking between things very soon. Number 4, name your favorite episode or episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark? This one's really tough because I have a lot of childhood memories of Are You Afraid of the Dark, but there is one episode that jumps out at me right away when I think about a favorite episode. And to me, I wouldn't say that this is necessarily a good episode. It's definitely not what people would think of as the best Are You Afraid of the Dark episode for sure, but the reason I'm going to pick it as my favorite is because it left some kind of mark on me for some reason. So my favorite is The Tale of the Pinball Wizard, and the mark it left on me, I'll talk about it a little bit later, but yeah, it affected me, and I still sometimes think about that episode today, and I'll say why, but it's pretty ridiculous. But a newer favorite, an episode that I've revisited now that I'm older, that I really appreciate more now than I did when I was a kid, is The Tale of the Midnight Madness, as well as The Tale of the Dead Man's Float. I really love The Tale of the Dead Man's Float. I don't know why I wasn't into that one as a kid. Maybe I didn't see that one very much on TV. All I know is that having watched it like in the last couple of years, I'm like, oh my god, that episode is like choice. It's awesome. It's definitely great. And actually the effects in that episode are pretty darn good. So I just think it's a well-made episode. It's a lot of fun. There's kind of this nerdy character, but he's a likable character and you're rooting for him the whole time. So there's a lot of little, you know, elements that jump out at me as an adult now that I like about that episode. But yes, as a kid, hands down, The Tale of the Pinball Wizard. And for that reason, the reason I mean is that I have such a fondness for it. That's why I'm going to name it as my technical number 1 favorite. All right, now it's time to choose. Now it's the either or / versus time. All right, so we're going to be choosing between the television shows specifically right now. Just the television shows. Leave the books out of it. You have to choose one. The other ceases to exist. So, are you choosing Are You Afraid of the Dark or Goosebumps? Choose wisely, think carefully. So whatever you choose, that's the one that will continue to exist. The one you do not choose it's gone forever. Goodbye, bitch! This is sad. This is so hard. And I know you guys are probably like, what's the point of this? They both do exist. Why are we picking? We don't have to. I know that, but it's a lot of fun to kind of put your mind to it and make yourself make a decision if you had to choose one over the other. So it's essentially basically just making you pick a favorite, really. Obviously, we know that they're both going to continue existing despite your answer, but still, it's just the point of the question, guys. It's all in good fun. So this one's tough for me, too. I did like the Goosebumps show growing up. However, I have to say that I did watch a lot more of 90s Nick, and so for that reason, I'm going to pick Are You Afraid of the Dark? I remember a lot of episodes, a lot more specifically than I do Goosebumps. So more Are You Afraid of the Dark sticks out in my memory. I don't know why Goosebumps just never latched on in terms of the show. Never really latched on except for the Haunted Mask, which I watched way more than the other episodes. So that's why I have to pick Are You Afraid of the Dark. Don't hate me, book peeps. Even though we're talking about shows still, it's like one of your favorite book series adapted. Don't hate me. And I did want to share this poll with you guys that I put out on Twitter back in February of 2020. So I said the same question that I just asked you guys. I was asking people to pick between the Are You Afraid of the Dark TV show and the Goosebumps TV show, and as you guys can see, out of 171 total votes, Are You Afraid of the Dark actually won this poll with 70.8% of the vote, while Goosebumps, the TV show, only received 29.2% of the vote. So moving right along to question number 6. Alright, and this is again about the TV shows. Which show had the best theme song? Both theme songs are great. Everyone knows this. Both are great. But you must choose one over the other. And please don't include the visuals or the graphics in your decision. I'm asking you strictly about the song. So not the style of the open, just the song. Not the lighting, nothing. So we're just talking about, like, if you listened on your Spotify playlist to both of these songs, which one would you choose over the other? This one's tough too, and this is actually the toughest question that I've put on my list of 10 questions for me to answer personally, because I love both theme songs. I will tell you right now that the Goosebumps theme song is a ringtone of mine for some people, and then also part of the Are You Afraid of the Dark theme song is one of my text tones, so I clearly like both songs very, very much. So here I must choose. This is so difficult. My God, it's difficult. Oh, this is torture, really. That's why I love this series, because it's like torture for me. It's ridiculous making myself choose between these things. But I think I'm gonna choose Goosebumps. The Goosebumps theme song is banging. It's banging, okay? It's like do 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 do. Even when you've got the dog barking in tune to the song, even that is catchy. So if you can make a dog ridiculously barking to a theme song work, then it must be a good theme song. I don't want to downplay the amazingness of Are You Afraid of the Dark's theme song, because it is really awesome, but it's not as catchy. I think Are You Afraid of the Dark's theme song is more atmospheric and moody and spooky, and a perfect like background noise or ambience that you could put on like for Halloween, or just in the background if you're like, you know, feeling like you want to feel like you're in a haunted house or something, you know what I mean? Alright, so that is my official answer for that one. And that one's a difficult one. Like I said, that's like the most difficult question for me personally. One more thing I do want to add about the Goosebumps Open is, of course, they made the flippin' tagline, "Viewer beware, you're in for a scare," so catchy, and it works with the theme song perfectly, so even that goes with the song. Another reason why I love the song in its entirety. I also put a poll out about this question as well, making people pick between the theme song only, not the visuals. I put this poll out on Twitter in October of 2019. Are You Afraid of the Dark won this poll. More people on Twitter liked the Are You Afraid of the Dark theme song, specifically the song only. 56.1% of those 66 votes voted for Are You Afraid of the Dark. So it was close, but Are You Afraid of the Dark won. Goosebumps, the theme song, only came up with 43.9% of the vote. Number 7. Which show had the better overall open? And now we are including the visuals, the logo reveal, and the music all together. So everything combined for the open. And this one is difficult as well, but I think as a whole, the Are You Afraid of the Dark open is iconic. So I'm going to pick Are You Afraid of the Dark as the better overall open. It may not have won for best theme song in my opinion. However, when it comes to visuals, you just, honestly, you can't beat it. The rocking boat, the swinging swings, or the swaying swings, the creepy clown doll in the attic. There's a lot of amazing stuff, but I think the thing that puts it over the top is the reveal of the logo, when you've got that hand coming up with the match and, you know, it getting blown out in the smoke, and then I just love how the match reveals the logo and then it's gone. It's just beautiful. It's a wonderful open. It's a wonderful logo reveal. Don't get me wrong, the Goosebumps logo, you know, the glowing eyes of the dog, the creepy freaking shadow man with the papers blowing. That open is great too, and very atmospheric, but just, you can't beat Are You Afraid of the Dark when it's the whole package for the open. Okay, now we are moving on to question number 8. You can only, and this is probably the most difficult for most of you, it's another choosing type of thing, but this encompasses the books too. You can only pick one franchise, so that means the books as well as the show. So you can only pick one. The other that you don't pick will cease to exist. Which are you choosing and why? Either Goosebumps or Are You Afraid of the Dark? Again, this is books and shows. So if you pick one, the other books and shows, it's gone. And this is difficult. Technically, I could have just pitted Goosebump books against Are You Afraid of the Dark show. And in a way, that's kind of what this is, because I do think that the better thing for Goosebumps is the books, and the better thing for Are You Afraid of the Dark is the show. That's subjective. That's just my opinion. I think a lot of people might agree, though. Although I know there's some Goosebump TV show fans out there, too. It's just that I feel like Are You Afraid of the Dark was more my jam specifically. So that's why it's almost like books for Goosebumps versus show for Are You Afraid of the Dark, to me. But this encompasses everything. And this is tough, and this kills me. But I'm gonna have to pick, I have to pick Goosebumps. So Goosebumps stays, Are You Afraid of the Dark goes. And that is so tough. That means all the shows I enjoyed as a kid, they're gone. But I just feel like Goosebumps is so iconic. It's more than just the books. It really created a whole vibe of being. And without Are You Afraid of the Dark, 90s Nickelodeon would still go strong. 90s Nickelodeon would still be iconic. I'm not saying Are You Afraid of the Dark doesn't have a prominent place in Nickelodeon history. It does. It's an important live-action show for the channel. However, there are a lot of other great, important shows for the channel back during the 90s. So it could have still survived. It could have still been a great channel. But when you're talking about Goosebumps, that was just something so different entirely. It made kids want to read. It was like an actual franchise. When I think of Are You Afraid of the Dark, it didn't feel like a franchise, it felt like a show, and I didn't know that there were books till a couple of years ago. So to me, it was never like, oh, it's more than just the show. No, it was the show, whereas Goosebumps was more than that. It was a lot of things. And again, it was a way of being. It made, you know, being scared cool. It just, I don't know. You could not even like reading and still like Goosebumps, and that was the case with me. So I owned Goosebumps books, even though I wasn't a big reader, even though I hardly read any of them. The visuals of the covers, that in itself, and the art style of the books, it's just larger than the books themselves, I think, even, sometimes. And then R.L. Stine just was really a legend in the 90s. So to me, it has to be Goosebumps that you're saving. I mean, if you guys disagree, that's fine, but I have a feeling that a lot of people will be on the same wavelength as me, but I'm so interested to see if other people are not. And it'll be interesting if it's like book people all vote for Goosebumps, show people all, and, you know, Nickelodeon people all vote for Are You Afraid of the Dark, to keep that. We'll have to see, but I consider myself traditionally more of a TV show, movie person, because that's what I grew up watching and loving. I'm only a newer book lover. I'm not saying that it's not as passionate for me of a hobby as movies are now, but back then it's no contest. So for me, picking Goosebumps is a big deal. I mean, I would consider myself somebody who would, you know, kind of lean towards movies, shows, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I gotta say, Goosebumps, it's iconic. Just to reiterate that again. We're getting closer to the end. Question number 9. This one's just for fun. It's not making you make any hard decisions. It's just, you know, name some favorite snacks from the 90s. Well, I'm a big candy fiend, so of course I loved any kind of candy. I used to eat Snow Caps all the time. Also, Sour Patch Kids I love. But really, I think my favorite old school candy that really screams 90s to me, because you could get Sour Patch Kids today, but something that's more 90s-ish, I think, is Fun Dip. I love Fun Dip. So yes, you know, the sticks with the powder. Yeah. Fun Dip, red, the cherry kind, or even like watermelon, the blue kind even. There's a whole bunch of good flavors. I mainly remember colors, not flavors as much, but I still try to get my hands on it every now and then now, but I don't have it very often. Another great treat in the 90s, which they brought back recently, and I've had some, and they're still just as amazing as I remember, Dunkaroos. You can't go wrong with some Dunkaroos, and it just screams 90s. And people were like, you do know it's just funfetti icing, right? I'm like, well, it's different though. It is kind of different. There was something special when you had a pack of Dunkaroos in your lunch kit during school time. And I gotta say, you can order them, I think, on Amazon right now. I got them, I think, from, was it Sam's? Somewhere, locally, I got some Dunkaroos. All I gotta say is they're still badass, and they're still going strong, so thank you for bringing them back, because they're incredible, and they're very high in calories. But if you have just one little package, because they put them in packages now, it's really not that bad. You could have a whole package, and you'd still be under your calories, I guess, for the day, if you count calories or something like that. Alright. So now our last question. Share any general thoughts about your feelings or share memories about these two franchises. As I said earlier in this video, Goosebumps is a newer love of mine, although I still kind of worshipped the idea of it in the 90s and still loved aspects of Goosebumps in the 90s. I just really love it even more now as an adult when I'm rereading these books or sometimes reading for the first time these books. And it's been a joy and a pleasure and just something that brings me back and feels nostalgic, even though in most cases I haven't read the book that I'm reading now back then. But it's still got this air of nostalgia around it, and I think that's very powerful, and I think that says something about Goosebumps and the quality of the books themselves and even the show. And then when it comes to Are You Afraid of the Dark, again, I just have great memories of how it creeped me out as a kid, and I still think about certain episodes today. For instance, to reference my favorite episode that I chose, The Tale of the Pinball Wizard, I used to get so creeped out about the idea of an abandoned mall. Because the episode, there's this kid, you know, he's working at this store, and then he finds himself playing a pinball game, and then it's like the mall is abandoned and closed, and no one's there, and he's stuck there, trapped there, and he's all alone. So he's walking around an empty mall, and it's just eerie. I don't know why that episode stuck with me, but I actually got out of a movie a couple of years ago, and the movie theater was in the mall. And the movie theater is obviously open later than the rest of the general mall. So when you get out of the movie, you would walk down out of the theater, and you'd have to walk through the closed mall to get to your car to go outside, you know? And I thought about the flippin' episode, The Tale of the Pinball Wizard, and I was like, oh my god, this is creepy, I want to get out of here, we're gonna be stuck in here, and a giant pinball is gonna freaking come down and chase us. Anyway, it was so dumb. That episode's really not scary when you watch it today, but there was something that affected me when I watched it as a kid, I don't know. So anyway, that's a huge memory of mine. Also, the episode where the two actresses from Sister Sister were in an Are You Afraid of the Dark episode, and they were like lizards. One was an evil twin, or an evil clone thing, and the other one was not. And that, for some reason, always stuck with me as well, that particular episode. I don't know why. But I liked that episode a lot, and sometimes I found myself thinking about it growing up, and even sometimes I think about it today. I don't know what makes me think of that episode. I don't even remember it very well, but something about, you know, the evil lizard one being super creepy. And I don't know. I gotta rewatch that one. I'm gonna have to rewatch that one very soon. Alright guys, again, I do want to say, anyone who wants to do the tag, please do so. I hope some of you want to. It'll be really an honor if some of you guys would do it. Also, I want to mention that I am looking for people, and I feel like people who would do this tag would probably be up for doing this collab with me. So I'm trying to do a collab in the month of April, at the very end of April, as part of my festivities for Old School April. And the collab is going to be about Are You Afraid of the Dark? I want booktubers and other content creators to talk about their favorite episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark, but go a step further and pick any episode. It doesn't have to be their favorite, but it could be if they wanted it to be. So either pick a favorite episode or any episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark and recommend a book that matches the vibe or theme of that episode. Recommend it to people viewing my collab video. So I'll give you a loose example. I haven't read the book yet, so I'm not sure, but I have a feeling this would work. So, the Tale of the Ghastly Grinner, about a comic book character that kind of comes to life, and they have to figure out, how to defeat this villain character, aka the Ghastly Grinner. So, a book, at least from the premise, that seems similar to the vibe of that episode is the book The Cartoonist by Sean Costello. And I do want to say, I want people to recommend books that they've read already. I have not read a ton of books compared to everyone else on BookTube here. So my pile to draw from is smaller than everyone else's, but I am going to read The Cartoonist, and I'll have to tell you if I'm correct in that it's going to match the vibe. In fact, by the time the collab comes out, I will be able to answer the question because I think I will have read The Cartoonist by then. So again, if any booktuber or any content creator in general is interested in doing this collab with me, please let me know by emailing me at slimeandslashers@gmail.com, slimeandslashers@gmail.com. And you could also DM me on Instagram, because I don't want to just start messaging people and asking if they want to do the collab if people don't like Are You for the Dark. Because if you don't know a lot about Are You for the Dark and episodes of Are You for the Dark, you won't be able to suggest a book that matches the vibe of an episode. So whoever's interested and wants to, please let me know. I might ask a few people here and there, but I don't know. I know a lot of people who are into Goosebumps. I just don't know how many people are into Are You for the Dark out there. So as I said, you could also DM me on Instagram at SuperKickingIt, SuperKickingIt. And I really hope that some of you guys will want to join in. But for this time, that's it for me. That's my tag. I hope you guys had fun with it. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it makes you want to answer it. If you don't have a BookTube, by the way, you can answer the questions down below in my comments. And that's it for me. I hope this has gotten you hyped for Old School April, because there'll be tons of thematic old school content coming during that month. This is just the tip of the iceberg, so stay tuned. But like I said, for this time, that's it for me. Till next time, guys, you know what you can do. Keep on killing it. Bye, guys.